Good morning, Year 5. It's Miss Hall here, and I'm going to be doing your SPaG video for you this week. So this week our focus is going to be on sentence structures. So we're going to be looking at simple, compound, and complex sentences. So the first one, simple sentences. A simple sentence has a subject and only one verb. The cat purred, the cat sat on the mat. What is a subject? Well, the subject is the noun in the sentence that is being discussed or described. So the personal thing that is being discussed or described. So if you have a look in the first sentence, the cat purred. We only have one noun, the cat, and we've got one verb, purred. We know that the cat is the subject because it is the thing that is being described, the cat purred. In the second sentence, we've got the cat sat on the mat. So we've got cat and mat are both nouns, but we know that the cat is the subject because that is what's being described. We're talking about the cat which is sitting on the mat. So the cat sat on the mat, and we've got our one verb, sat. So simple sentences, really, as it says on the tin, simple sentences, they are very simple, very basic. One subject and one verb. And then moving on to compound sentences. A compound sentence is formed when you join two main clauses with a coordinating conjunction, such as but, and, or so. Just a quick recap, what is a main clause? Pretty much the same as a simple sentence, really. It's a sentence that makes sense on its own. Well, a part of a sentence that makes sense on its own, it's like a simple sentence. It must contain a subject and a verb. So if we were to look at our first sentence, I like bananas and I like grapes, they are both main clauses, because if we were to take the conjunction away and put a full stop in its place, they would be two simple sentences that would make sense on their own. I like bananas, full stop. I like grapes, full stop. But we've just joined them together with a coordinating conjunction. Their front door was open, nobody was there. Both of those sentences make sense on their own. They are main clauses. They could be simple sentences if we were to take away that conjunction, but we can combine them to create a compound sentence using the conjunction but. And then the same with the last one. It was hot outside, so the ice cream melted. Again, if we were to take that conjunction away, they could be standalone sentences. It was hot outside, full stop. The ice cream melted, full stop. So that's the key thing with a compound sentence, is we're extending our sentence, but if you were to take the conjunction away, you would see that both parts of the sentence are standalone sentences. Okay, they could be simple sentences in their own right. And then the last one is complex sentences. Now, complex sentences are formed when you add either a subordinate clause or a relative clause. Now, a relative clause is a type of subordinate clause. So, subordinate clauses, complex sentences. A subordinate clause includes a subordinate conjunction: after, although, as, because, if, since, unless, when. So it can tell us a little bit more about how or the effect of something. So we're adding more information. If we have a look at the first sentence, I love roast potatoes, that's our main clause. That could be a simple sentence if we were to put a full stop there, okay? I love roast potatoes. It makes sense. We can add extra information using a subordinate clause. So although my mum prefers them mashed is our subordinate clause. You can see that that doesn't make sense on its own. We need the main clause for it to make sense. And I've highlighted the subordinate conjunction, although. Okay. Number 2, if you want to get all your spellings right, you need to practice. So again, you need to practice, makes sense on its own. That's our main clause. If you want to get all your spellings right, doesn't make sense. It's left open-ended. It needs an ending. It needs to be finished. So you can see that if you want to get all your spellings right is our subordinate clause, and if is our subordinate conjunction. Now, you can see the difference between sentence 1 and 2. Because in sentence 1, I put my main clause first and then followed on with my subordinate clause, whereas with sentence 2, I've started with my subordinate clause. Now, if you start with your subordinate clause, you need to separate it using a comma. You don't need a comma when you do your main clause first, because the conjunction does that job for you. Okay, it connects the sentence. And then lastly, since I had a late night, I felt very tired today. So I felt very tired today, as you can tell now, is our main clause. It makes sense on our own. It could be a simple sentence. We've added a little bit more information about why, because he had a late night, since I had a late night. You could swap that round and you could say, I felt very tired today since I had a late night. And in that case, you wouldn't need the comma. And then lastly, relative clause. A relative clause is a type of subordinate clause, as I said. It also adds more information. However, a relative clause specifically relates to the noun and must include a relative pronoun. Who, whom, where, which, that, where, when. The bus, which was late, appeared in the distance. Now, if we were to take away that relative clause, which was late, the sentence would still make sense. The bus appeared in the distance. We've added that in and we've embedded it. Embedded relative clauses when it's in the middle of the sentence, just to add more information about the bus. So we're relating to the noun bus. Okay, the bus, which is our pronoun, our relative pronoun, was late, appeared in the distance. And that's the same with the second one. The monster, who is green and slimy, smells like a dirty swamp. We've used a different relative pronoun now, who, to relate to the monster. If we were to take away that relative clause, the sentence would still make sense. The monster smells like a dirty swamp. Okay, but we're just adding more information. Now, these are non-restrictive relative clauses, which means that we don't need them. The sentence doesn't rely on these to make sense. As I said, if we were to take them away, the sentence would still make perfect sense. If we look at the last one, I don't like the clown that has a bright red nose. That has a bright red nose is our relative clause. You can see I haven't put a comma here, and that's because this relative clause is actually crucial in making this sentence make sense. This part of the sentence relies on the relative clause to make the sentence complete. I don't like the clown is left unfinished. We don't know what clown. Okay, if it said I don't like clowns, that's fine. That would be a complete sentence. But I don't like the clown. The clown what? Okay, we have to finish. So I don't like the clown that has a bright red nose. Okay, and that is called a restrictive relative clause. It's very technical. I have done a separate video on relative clauses a few weeks ago, and I'll add that link to the information box below if you want to have a quick recap. Okay, so I know that's lots and lots of information, but just to help us consolidate it and remember it, I'm going to do a quick quiz with you now. I'm going to show you some sentences, and you're going to write down whether you think they're simple, compound, or complex. And I'm also going to give you a bonus point for complex sentences, if you can tell me whether they include a subordinate or a relative clause. Okay. So if you want to pause me now, so you can just take your time reading through these, that's absolutely fine. And then you can replay me when you're finished. I'm going to read through them to help you out as well. Okay. 1, I do not like eating meat, but I love vegetables. So do you think that is a simple sentence? Is it a compound sentence? Or is it a simple sentence, a compound sentence, or a complex sentence? You could also pause the video, and if you're not sure, rewind it and go and recap. Okay. Number 2, although it is summer, it has rained all day. So look to see if you can see any conjunctions, and if so, what sort of conjunctions are they? Are they coordinating conjunctions? Are they subordinate conjunctions? Do you see a relative pronoun? And that will give you a good clue. Do you see none? Do you just see a subject and a verb, in which case that would tell you what type of sentence it would be as well. Number 3, the man ran very fast. Number 4, I like chocolate and I like sweets. Number 5, this is the film that I wanted to watch. Number 6, the dog is cute, but I like cats. Number 7, I went for a swim after I finished school. Before I had dinner, I finished my homework. Number 9, the chicken laid an egg, which I had for my breakfast. And number 10, it was my friend's birthday, so I made her a card. Okay, let's go through our answers. As I say, if you want to pause me, if you're not finished, that's fine. Pause me, take your time, and then replay when you're ready to go through the answers. Oh. Okay, so number 1, I do not like eating meat, but I love vegetables. This is a compound sentence because if you were to take away the coordinating conjunction but, you would have 2 standalone sentences. You'd have 2 simple sentences that would make sense on their own. I do not like eating meat, full stop. I love vegetables, full stop. But you've combined them with a conjunction, therefore it's a compound sentence. Number 2, although it is summer, it has rained all day. Although is your giveaway there, which is your subordinate conjunction. So although it is summer is your subordinate clause, so it makes it a complex sentence. Number 3, the man ran very fast. The man ran very fast. We've got our subject and we've got our verb, okay? And that's it, so it's a simple sentence. Number 4, I like chocolate and I like sweet. Again, if you were to get rid of ands, you'd have 2 simple sentences that would stand alone if you were to put a full stop after chocolate. Okay, so you've added 2 main clauses with the coordinating conjunction. That makes it a compound sentence. Number 5, this is the film that I wanted to watch. This is a relative clause. That is a relative pronoun. And this is a restrictive relative clause, which means that we need this relative clause for the sentence to make sense. This is the film would be an unfinished sentence. This is the film that I wanted to watch. Completes it. It's a relative clause. It's a complex sentence. Number 6, the dog is cute, but I like cats. This is a compound sentence. Number 7, I went for a swim after I finished school. That is a complex sentence because it includes a subordinate clause. Now remember, you could always put the subordinate clause at the beginning of the sentence. So you could say, after I finished school, comma, I went for a swim. So complex sentence, subordinate clause. Number 8, before I had dinner, I finished my homework. That is a complex sentence, including a subordinate clause. And again, you could swap that round. I finished my homework before I had dinner. In that case, you wouldn't need a comma. Number 9, the chicken laid an egg, which I had for my breakfast. Which I had for my breakfast is a relative clause, so it is a complex sentence. And number 10, it was my friend's birthday, so I made her a card. This is a compound sentence. It was my friend's birthday, full stop. I made her a card, full stop. We've combined the 2 main clauses with the coordinating junction. So it makes it a compound sentence. So it is very complicated. It is quite tricky. If you do need any further help, just give us a shout. So good luck with your pack, and I hope you'll have a lovely week, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.